and we're going to focus a little bit on food sovereignty. So that is food that is affordable, healthy, and culturally appropriate. So we are going to be learning to cook all sorts of different seafood recipes, things that come from our coast and from our oceans. We're going to be using a little bit of foraged ingredients you can find here at Manuel's River. Now, if you've been to Manuel's River before, you might recognize me. My name is Madison, and oftentimes I'm here teaching about something or other, but today I'm actually going to be learning, and I've brought in a couple of different friends to help me learn these recipes. I'm here today with Carrie Claire Neal, and she is going to be helping me learn to make what?
Today we are making a recipe called Stamp and Go. It's a Jamaican fish cake recipe that I got from this very cool book, Salt Cod Cuisine. You can get it from Boulder Publications.
Oh, wicked.
It has all kinds of different salt fish recipes, and also talks about the history of saltfish and how it's used in different cultures. So great book, great resource.
Yeah, that's right. So it's not just Newfoundlanders that eat salt cod. You can find it other parts of the world. People are into it.
Yeah.
Well, I like the sound of Jamaican food, so let's get started. So what is our first step here? We got our salt cod. It came in a package from Sobeys.
Good. So you've already soaked it for a few hours, which is great. I do like to just cut off a little bit and make sure it's not too salty. It's pretty good. Yum, yum. So first what we're going to do is we're going to chop a few vegetables and get them fried up. So we'll start with our onion. Just dice that up.
Onions are great. We like onions around here at Manuel's River because we can use them to dye things. The skins are really good at dyeing. So we use them to dye our Easter eggs this year, which is pretty cool. So.
Is it like an orange?
Yeah. It makes a really nice orange, actually. I'd say it was probably the nicest dye we made. You know, we tried avocados, and we tried turmeric, we tried all sorts of stuff, and I'd say the onions were the best. So save your onion skins, you can use them. I put them in the fridge to stop myself from crying.
Oh, hot tip.
Yeah. If the colder they are, the more difficult it is for those nasty molecules to fly off and get in your eye. All right, so we got an onion diced up there.
We're going to dice up our tomato.
Oh, so sad. Here's cooking. And so is the onion and the tomato all going to go in together?
Yes. Normally you fry the onion a little bit first.
Sure.
And then we'll put in the garlic and then the tomato.
But you'll have to remember to soak your fish in the morning, won't you?
Yeah, I like to do it before I head out. There are some salt fishes that are really dark and really heavily salted. You can tell they're really stiff. Those are the kinds you want to do overnight. But I like to have a bit of salt in my saltfish. Yeah, I find recipes are always don't put enough garlic in. I'm I love garlic.
Same. And that's good for you. So when you soak your saltfish, does it have to go in the fridge?
I usually
can you just sit it on the counter?
I just sit it on the counter. It's chill. If you didn't salt your fish in the morning and you're oh no, I need to get this recipe done. One trick is to just keep changing the water. You can usually get it done in about an hour.
Oh, okay. That's
tip.
good for the procrastinators. We're just using some regular old canola oil for this, for our frying. So I asked Chef Mike here at Manuel's River today a couple of questions, because this is all new to me, and I wanted to know, is saltfish cooked? Am I touching raw fish right now? And he was like, kind of. It's been salt cured, so it's basically killed any pathogen that could possibly be on it. Nothing in that fish could kill you except the salt, because there's so much salt. And sure enough, I checked the package, and it was something 4,000% of your daily intake of salt. I was like, okay, I understand. I'm not too concerned about pathogens in my saltfish.
Heavily salted. Back before we had refrigerators. You could ship it all the way to Jamaica and be good to go. And salting the fish was actually women's work, and it was really important. You had to do it in the right way, or it would be a bad quality. So it took a lot of skills.
So two green onions, two little guys?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, onions are frying. Green onions chopped.
All right, now we'll do the jalapeno. So this actually calls for a Scotch bonnet pepper. I've never actually seen one of those in St. John's. Maybe you can get them at a specialty store. But I usually just put in a jalapeno. It's maybe not as spicy, but it does the trick.
I gotta tell you, I haven't yet to find a spicy pepper in this city. I moved to St. John's 2 years ago, and we've been buying dried peppers, fresh peppers, all different kinds of peppers. I think by the time they get here, they're just not spicy anymore. I don't know what it is, but we just can't make it happen. It's just so sad.
That is sad.
I guess you gotta get the like bottled hot peppers maybe that are.
I've been getting some like spicy dried peppers from Food for Thought.
Oh yeah? Okay, good to know. There's the in for the spicy peppers. And of course, when you are handling spicy peppers, sometimes you want to have gloves on because that capsaicin can get in your fingers. It can really hurt. And if you have some on your hand and they touch your eye, that'll really hurt.
All right, we're gonna put in our onions. Looking good.
Yeah.
Our garlic.
Okay.
Just for a hot second, so you can start to smell it. And then we'll put in our tomato and our green onion and our jalapenos.
Perfect. Oh, that smells amazing.
Yum, yum. And now put in our spices.
Okay, so what spices are we using?
Alright, so we're going to use half a teaspoon of thyme, a little bit of black pepper, and a pinch of paprika.
Thyme. I think thyme is perhaps my favorite spice.
Oh.
Or herb, or whatever it's considered to be. And then a pinch of paprika.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give it a nice color. And a pinch of pepper?
Yes.
Yeah, I really like making Cajun food, and it's got a really strong thyme like flavor in it, and that's just what I'm getting from the smell, like the garlic and the hot pepper and the thyme. Oh, I'm gonna really like this. I'm so excited.
So while that's cooking, we can prep our mixture. So what I really like about this recipe is it's really fast. So the base is just like flour and water. So you just whip it together, which I love. You don't have to, like with traditional Newfie fish cakes, you have to like boil the potatoes and mash them. And
Right.
all kinds of work.
So we need our big bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're going to get started with a cup of flour.
Okay.
Our flour, and a tablespoon of baking powder.
There we go.
Perfect. And now we can start adding our cod. Generally, so it calls for about half a pound. I don't know what that means. But generally, you want to cut them into like kind of smaller slices.
Too big.
So I'm just going to estimate here how much will probably enough. I find at restaurants, they never put enough salt fish in the fish cakes.
And worth remembering, I'm going to make these for my personal consumption, and I'm going to breathe all over them. But that's okay, because only me and the people in my bubble are going to eat them. So recommend if you are making these for other people, and you're going to be handing them off to other people, you might want to consider wearing a face mask or some sort of covering, because you're going to be breathing all over everything. And so what other cultures are represented in your salt cod book? Do you know?
Oh, it's all over the world.
Wow.
You got Portugal, you got Spain, you got Antigua, a lot of the Trinidad, a lot of the Caribbean countries, and like our traditional partners when it came to trade. That's like why we have like Screech, like Jamaican rum.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Import. We
Makes
used to
sense.
export the salt cod, which is mostly fed to the slaves. So Newfoundland was part of the slave trade, which part of our dark history.
That was the global economy, unfortunately, for a long, long time. I believe it is in some way part of cuisine in Nova Scotia because one of the packets of salt fish came from Digby, Nova Scotia, so obviously people are eating it there too, but it wasn't a big part of my childhood, I gotta say. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I'm happy to learn it now.
You didn't eat fish cake?
No, I didn't eat a whole lot of fish when I was a kid. I think, but I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one who grew up around a bunch of fish and just never ended up eating it. So there are others like me out there who are going to appreciate this video.
Yes.
And learn how to make stuff.
It's so good to like eat local and
Absolutely.
Nova Scotia is local enough.
Sure, yeah. Okay, and these bits are all pretty tiny. Stick them in there. That is a big old mound of fish.
Yes, yum yum. Alright, so now you're just going to pop it right in with the flour.
Throw it all in.
Throw it in there.
Alright, so we got a nice mix of vegetables going on here. Some beautiful colors, some beautiful smells. Oh my word.
And once it's all mixed, you want to add a bit of water to kind of seal it all together.
Yes.
The fun thing about the recipe is it does not say how much water. It just says enough water to make it sticky. Probably maybe like a quarter cup, maybe less.
That's why it's nice when you have one of those kind of recipes for someone who's made it a couple of times to give you an idea of like what is the texture of it supposed to look like, you know? It can be helpful. Like recipe books are great, but there's always that kind of little something or you just kind of get it from experience. Oh yeah, so it's starting to get a little sort of sticky and gooey.
That's what you want. So now we're going to use our frying pan again just to fry it up.
Canola oil again, a good oil for frying because it isn't going to catch fire on you, most likely.
Perfect.
Don't use like olive oil or anything that's going to get all smoky and make a bunch of cancer-causing particles. You don't need that.
So now is when you get in with your hands and you kind of just like take a little bit, plop it on there. Generally, I like to kind of like push it down. You want it to be like kind of flat.
Great.
Alright, so now we are frying this fish cake.
Don't let Carrie stop you. Use as much oil as you want. And so what else would you eat with this? Make it a full meal? Or would you just eat the fish cakes?
I like to have like a little salad with it.
Yeah.
Maybe like roast up some Brussels sprouts.
We don't want to char them if we can help it. We just want them to be toasty, right?
Yeah, you can usually kind of see on the side, so you start to see that it's like kind of solidifying.
Perfect.
And then you can flip them over. You want to fry them for like 2 minutes on each side, I would say.
Now my mom, whenever she eats cod cakes, she eats them for breakfast.
Do you compost at Manuel's River?
We are going to have a compost very soon at Manuel's River, which is very, very exciting. We are in the process of putting together a community garden, and that will have composting, and it will have a greenhouse, and we'll be growing berries and vegetables. It's starting to feel crispier for sure. Yeah, it's got a bit more structural integrity to it.
Perfect. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. So we made about 12 fish cakes from our, what was it, Carrie? Half a pound of salt fish. So that's pretty good. I mean, that'll make a couple of meals, or it'll feed your whole, you know, mom, dad, 2 kids kind of family. Or maybe you want to take it in your lunch the next day. So I think that's pretty good for the amount of time we put into it. It's only about half an hour from start to finish, as long as you salt it earlier in the day. You could do the little sort of change the water a whole bunch and hopefully speed it up and get all the salt out in about an hour, but ideally you'd be putting it in the morning and letting it soak, and then you'd make it when you got home from work or something like that. Give it about 6 hours to get all that salt out. Eat it with a salad or some Brussels sprouts and you're good to go. That was Stamp and Go Cod Fritters by Carrie Neal.